Feels so good in here. So you do this like
once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week. Normally I like to start in the protein section, but today, since we're kind of coming in from this side, I think we're gonna get some bread and kind of start from there. So I think, let's see. And whenever it comes to a lot of the Ezekiel muffins, I feel like, you can kind of get different variations here. Personally, throughout the course of my prep, I like to do peanut butter, and you'll notice that I like to do a lot of the English muffins here. These are actually probably some of the top staples here. Like I said, you can get other versions of it, but I feel like this one is kind of the best version. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on here, and there's a lot of good products, but overall, I mean, as far as the Ezekiel bread life goes, I kind of just stick kind of in this area. I won't really touch too much there, but kind of more sticking towards that, if that kind of makes sense, Mm-hmm. So right now I'm one of those, and we're gonna be shopping for probably like about a week and some change. So we're gonna kind of see what that is. So like I said, I'll do the Ezekiel raisin there, and then I'm also gonna grab the sprouted grains here. Like I said, we just kind of peep here and there,
Yeah.
All right, so normally I always start off probably, especially hitting the outer layers, because when you come towards the center, there's a lot of like things you want to grab, which is cool though, because here at Sprouts, I feel like they have a lot of vegetables and things towards the middle. So I feel like coming towards the middle is kind of where you want to be. So as far as vegetable wise, I'll show you what we're going to be grabbing for the prep. And again, there's no really right or wrong here. It's just kind of what you're trying to get, established as far as your dieting routine and things like that. So let me go and show you guys what we're going to have over here. All right, so always first, I like to start off with romaine lettuce. Let's see. So normally I'll get this bag right here. I'll grab probably like about 2 bags. Normally it should last you probably about a week, give or take. So with that being said, we'll add that to the cart there. And as far as dressing it up, I mean, you can just kind of keep it simple. I mean, lemon, tahini, black pepper. I try to keep it really simple, especially as you get towards the end of a prep. So yeah, as far as hearts and romaine, especially for vitamin C, vitamin K, the romaine lettuce kind of covers all of that. So I kind of really have that as a staple here, So hopefully that helps you guys along the way, So we're gonna also grab a little bit of some celery here. we kind of got a good amount of vegetables out of the way. So now at this time, we'll just kind of pick up some fruit. A lot of times during the deeper part of the prep, I do a lot of just bananas. I'll do kind of like half a banana because of the potassium there. Especially to a whole banana has about 54 carbs per like serving. So I only like to do like about half, like sometimes in the morning. So I feel like that's kind of most important, you know. Potassium and sodium are kind of opposites. So depending on if you're trying to be drier, depending on if you want to be more leaner, those are kind of like important parts of it, you know. So that means that we're just gonna grab some bananas and go from there. So the biggest thing is you're gonna come through so many different aisles, but I think the main thing is making sure when you come to the grocery store, trying to find your whole foods and stick to that, because I feel like a lot of times it's easily possible to kind of go off track. So you really want to make sure that, you know, you kind of stay the course and stick to your fruits, your vegetables, and kind of things like that. So like I said, overall, you definitely want to make sure that you kind of stick towards the middle and kind of the outsides when you come to Sprouts, because those are going to be a lot of like where the items are at. So I feel like it's really important that you kind of stick to those zones, because if not, you'll start making choices and you'll kind of like start backtracking, especially if you come after like the gym, or not only the gym, but just coming in general. I just kind of feel like it's so easy to just grab something that you didn't even come in for. So I think really having a structured program is probably the most important. And then, yeah, I mean, that's honestly the most important thing, is coming in with a grocery list, and that way you can kind of stick to your game plan and just continue growing in that way. So I'm going to take you guys through what we're going to be doing for our protein shakes each morning. I'll show you guys the milk we're going to get into. So let's go with that. Alright, so we have a couple different options here. Personally, I just kind of mix it up. I'm kind of looking for vitamin D as far as my oat milk. So this is the one that I normally get a lot of times. And also too, the 3 Trees is also one of the top big brands that you can get. I feel like Planet Oat milk is a little bit more cheaper. So if you're all looking for the cheaper option, I definitely recommend Planet Oat milk there. But overall, 3 Trees is a brand that I kind of recommend first choice, because it is a little bit healthier. The most important part of a bodybuilding prep is going to be the protein section. Obviously, many people are kind of going to be wondering, well, where does the protein come from? What does it look like? How is it made? Honestly, this section alone in this video will probably showcase everything that you could probably get into. So as far as what the sources that I use, you'll see here that I use a lot of Seitan over there in the corner. I use that primarily, and here and there, depending on the situation and the day, I'll get into Mexican crumbles, right? So Seitan towards the end of the prep, I feel like it's kind of most important, because let's say if you're like in a bodybuilding prep, right, and you're trying to have high protein, low carb, low fat, I feel like it's really important that, you know, you get like Seitan or like a meatless crumble, because it's easy to, you know, let's say we get something like tofu, just an example, as I get closer to the prep, it does contain a little bit more fat. So as far as source-wise, you can use tofu, like let's say if you're on a bulk or something like that. I feel like it's really important. But as you kind of get more leaner towards a prep, or not only just a prep, but just cutting in general, I feel like that's kind of a really important part of it, you know? But overall, the staples of protein that I'm going to showcase right here is going to be the Chipotle style Seitan. This right here, honestly, has 2.5 grams of fat, 9 grams of carbs, and 23 grams of protein. So very macro friendly. So this one right here, you can kind of just pair up, I mean, with your favorite vegetable. You can also pair it with like a carb, right? You can do like pasta, you can do rice. It just kind of really depends on what you're trying to accomplish per se. And outside of that, I know I kind of do the regular traditional Seitan, but this one kind of has more of like a strip kind of style. So if you're kind of looking for maybe like even to do like chicken strips kind of style, these are definitely the most important one that I use on my prep. And let me go and grab some of this right here. And outside of that, I feel like those are kind of the staple brands that I kind of use throughout the prep. I mean, obviously you can kind of get into other different parts of like protein sources as far as meatless crumbles and things like that, but as far as this section in particular, I would say kind of maybe stick towards like the lower fat protein sources. Like I said, tofu, tempeh. Tempeh kind of has more, obviously a little bit more carbs, a little bit more fats. You can kind of pair that up, right? So that can be kind of like a sausage crumble, right? Depending on if you add like oregano, add certain spices to it, you can kind of create like a sausage, and you can create maybe like pasta. It just kind of varies, right? I mean, there's pasta, rice, potatoes. Those are the main sources of carbs that you can pair your protein with. So just depending on, you know, the dinner, lunch, whatever kind of selection you're looking for, those are also really important, right? So tempeh I was kind of using more towards, you know, week 6 to 8-ish, but now as I kind of start to get leaner, I feel like it's really important to kind of just stay kind of more towards like the higher protein sources, but also too for some of you guys who are cutting, obviously carbs are really important that you kind of lower along your way. So I think it's really important that you find the high protein sources, and these are pretty much the example of that. So, you know, just kind of stick to those proteins, and honestly, just keep with your fat loss journey, honestly, or weight loss journey, and just, you know, take it one day at a time with this, and just try to, you know, stay consistent in meal shopping, you know, once a week, twice a week. That's kind of what I go for when I come shopping. I primarily do once a week just because, you know, time-wise, I know a lot of us are busy throughout the course, so once a week, you know, especially on the weekends, I'll do that, but sometimes twice a week, just kind of depending. So, you know, there's that. And one last thing I want to go into the prep is hydration, right? So many people wonder what kind of water I drink, the top of the line, right? So I get this brand, Mountain Valley, and it's the biggest part of the prep because honestly, staying hydrated as an athlete is the most important thing that you can do, but not only as an athlete, but as a regular gym goer and regular everyday person. What's going on, y'all? Just finish up the grocery haul there, and I figured like to end this video, I feel like it kind of makes a little bit more sense to kind of show what we were able to get there. Obviously it wasn't everything that I normally use in a week, but for the most part I feel like there's a lot of you know, or like a couple different like tips and tricks that I feel like are kind of helpful along the way, especially like, you know, when you're filming. You know, we were able to kind of get just little clips here and there. Obviously I would have liked to have gotten more, but you know, sometimes you get what you can get and kind of go from there, you know. And I was able to film, so I'm still kind of grateful for that in a way. But overall, some of these proteins, you know, they're just simple sources that I kind of explained throughout the course of the video, and I think it's really cool how we can kind of just get into things, you know. I mean, obviously the diet looks a lot different for a grocery haul. This isn't like a normal grocery haul. It's kind of more for those of you guys who are cutting. Obviously being vegan, it does look a lot different, you know, seitan, tofu, and just tempeh, and just a bunch of different sources that look differently. But, you know, some of the correlations is like, you know, just think of like, you know, chicken as like a tofu, or think of like, you know, steak as like seitan. Again, those are kind of similar, what's the word, resemblance of what's kind of going on. Obviously it may look a little different as far as protein sources, but you know, I wasn't kind of shooting for just anything. I kind of was specifically going for a specific purpose, especially in a cut. I feel like it's a little bit more helpful to kind of see what's going on, because obviously in a bulk, you know, we can kind of sit there and kind of process different things, but I figured we're kind of going into the summer, so it might be a little bit more helpful to just kind of, you know, get things and get the ball rolling, and you know, just taking it 1 week at a time at this point.